Hello, everybody. My name is Nasir Husain, and this is my human AI collaboration course project. And I'd like to present my project. So, problem that I'm trying to solve is the same one that I used earlier for the previous course. Um, the problem is to reduce the default rate by accurately identifying high risk applicants for a bank while maintaining their reasonable approval and rate to sustain the revenue. There are other goals that we want to reduce the manual review and the turnaround time also. I want to change it to 2 3 days now and ensure that the compliance with the regulation like fair lending laws and any anti-discrimination law that we have to comply with. So for this problem, I have already had the presentation about the how we will technically do everything. But in this human side of the AI, I would like to outline the inputs that we will be looking for. So the inputs that we have is that we will have a user-friendly data collection, starting from the form design, where we will provide a step-by-step interface and the personal data, the multiple applicants, and all the demographics in credit score, loan amount, all that data. And the real-time validation of the data will also be considered so that as the user enters the data is validated right at the point of data entry and allow the uploads of the documents like W-2, tax forms, bank statements, and all that. And the compliance, and what compliance at the time of taking the data, providing proper um, disclaimer and discussion about providing the law applicable laws compliance in the beginning. For the AI, we want to ensure that model features are collected and all the features that we are looking for are collected at the time of data entry. From the output, we are looking for application outcome where we want to provide a loan decision, the decision about a loan, it is approved or denied, or there is further review, and also uh, give all the details like what is the loan amount and rate and terms. Recommendations, what kind of recommendations just in case of denial, that what are the actionable steps by the user so that they can reapply if they want to, or they can improve their, for example, their credit history or credit record, and then come back again or apply anywhere else, and also provide the progress that where the application is right now. If the application is under consideration, under review, or there are more pending documents needed, we should provide that information to the user. For the AI, we are looking for the risk score, qualitative description, and we provide that if it's a low risk loan or high risk or this needs loan needs review. From the transparency perspective, I'm looking for what I have outlined is that the application outcome that we have to provide a high level explanation of the decision process, how we are evaluating the loan, the application, what is my criteria for that, and the additional information that we will also ask for is that we can provide uh, any guidance that is we can learn more type of link that can provide more information about the process and about the factors that are important. And we can also tell them that, for example, your credit score of 600 has contributed 30% of the decision by your weight chart, proper disclosure, AI related disclosure, and regulatory compliance and the contact information, transparency that we provide FAQs, chatbots, and common questions answered so that the user can provide that, then can view that. and the communication about the model uh, uncertainty. They provide that the model is uncertain. Exactly. So, for example, 80% approval probability by the model. So we can say that, give a statement that your application is likely to be approved and it's awaiting final review. We can also provide a progress bar with the percentage that what is the percentage of the application has been completed. Guidance that if the application decision has any kind of uncertainty, then we have to want to provide that information that we want additional information, or let's say additional document or employment history, for example. All of that has to be upfront. We should provide and be very transparent about it, and also provide a timeline to resolve these uncertainty that we are going to finalize your application, let's say in 28 to 48 hours, or maybe in 12 hours. It's just an example that I gave. Provide a feedback loop so that the dispute process that allow user to contest and resubmit and update the updated information, feedback form together information needed, and provide a live support, ensuring that application process is well supported. Feedback to the model that implement a human in the loop system where uncertain cases were flagged for human review and data is fed back to the model to continuously refine it and update it as needed. For the privacy consideration, this is very important that we want to make sure that the user's privacy is intact and it's not breached. So there are some laws that we have to consider. Fair lending laws, like Fair Lending Credit Reporting Act or Equal Opportunity, Equal Credit Opportunity Act (CCPA) for applicable for California, and if it's in Europe, then it will be GLBA. And the risk of exposure of clients' personal uh, credit, income, and other sensitive information is there. So we have to consider those personal information to be well secured. For the safeguard of these privacy laws and the considerations, there is a data minimization that we are looking for, only collecting the data which is needed, not take any unnecessary data. Ensure that the data is secured, end-to-end encryption and secure data storage and access control for the data storage. Only persons who are required to see that data should be given access. If this data uh, is stored somewhere or used, then there should be an audit process, and periodic audit should be implemented. Customer consent, that we clearly disclose to the customer that what data will be used and how it will be shared with third party. Data retention, that how long we will keep this data by law, and as well as whatever is required by the local um, business, local and state laws, that we will retain the data, and also give an option for the user to request the deletion of data after this retention time. Third party sharing, we would also like to upfront tell the users that this data will be shared by third party, for example, credit agencies, or we want to use the data to get the credit information on that user. So therefore, we have to provide that upfront. If the data is used for model training, and of course it is used, and we can use the anonymization of the data so that data is not exposed to the people who are designing or running the model. And of course, we should ensure that local, state, federal, and other laws uh, are complied and proper safeguards are available for wherever it is applicable. We have to implement the audit of the data and the access controls in place so that the data is not exposed to unnecessarily to other people, and it's safe, and audit um, will find out that how secure is the data. Transparency of the data, that explain explicitly what data elements will be used for analytics and machine learning, so that the user is aware that the data is used for this purpose. and we have his consent, his her consent. Ethical considerations. So there are potential biases for the data. There can be data collection. Right now, we are looking for a certain demographic or income or credit score or age or race or that can have a bias in the model. So we have to be very careful that model represents all demographics and it is not biased for any particular group. Data labeling, feature selection, invalid data labeling, and feature may introduce bias. Some features may have a more impact, so we have to be careful in selecting the features and also make sure that the data is very well represented for those features also. Model training. So for a model training, data doesn't have any bias. Sometimes model has different kind of weight or some kind of bias there. So we have a risk of that also. And the feedback system can also introduce bias. So for example, right now we are using data in a certain way, but when it's in production and the data which is coming from production is feeding back into model, it may have an impact and it may create a bias. So these are the potential biases that we can have. Data collection and labeling ensure that data represents the and and demographics and other biases are addressed before you use this data. So there is a lot of work needed before we use the data for modeling. Discuss and get the feedback from SMEs when you get the data. You may not know everything about it and the impact of it. The SMEs, business owners, and users support team can also help you out in ensuring the data is properly collected and it is not biased and it is the right data to use and use the best data for the machine learning. Bias and fairness in the data, that's another possibility. Identify model bias by training the data and adjust the algorithm if needed to remove the bias. And regular monitoring of the model is very necessary for fairness and bias and make the changes to the model as needed if there is a bias that is introduced. And ensure that model doesn't have bias for a certain income group and make sure that all laws are uh, complied when you are doing machine learning and when the biases are also introduced. Model training, review, update, and assess the representation of full range of applications and any bias removed or addressed before training the model. Feedback, and the feedback also ensured the secured and compliant feedback is coming back to the model, and the updated model is a model is updated based on that new feedback which is coming from production and validate its performance periodically. Have a periodic system in place so that you can keep on um, assessing the model and updating as needed. Transparency and explainability provide a clear and simple reason for loan denial with data. For example, you can say that your loan was denied due to your debt to income ratio was 40%. Offer client to discuss their loan application with human agent. It is very important that um, chatbot can do a lot, but still you need somebody to explain what happened, why the application was denied, and if there is any problem or if the model had any problem, it's easier to explain humanly. Accountability. This is also very important that implement a human in the loop system to review and override borderline cases and ensure there is fairness and the model has true representation of the data. Establish appeals and process to resolve the dispute, which is also important that if somebody is denied the loan, they should be able to appeal it and they should be able to resolve issues if the information was wrong or if information needs update. Designate a senior manager to oversee AI development and compliance and handle their escalation. So they have to also make sure that they are one person who is responsible for this and he has the accountability for the uh, machine learning and the AI project. With that, I finish my presentation. I thank you very much for your time and Thank you and have a wonderful day.